Today I'm sitting down with Christian pop country artist Estella Kirk. If you've ever wrestled with surrender, identity, or finding peace in the unknown, this conversation is for you. Let's dive in because Kingdom Builder starts right now.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Bodie.
This is Shanae.
Hey, this is Jamie McDonald.
What's up? I'm Laverdier.
What's up, y'all? This is Seth Schleter.
Hey, what's up, family? This is Jeremy Rosado, and you are tuned in to Kingdom Builder. Listen, I am so excited for what God's doing in this season. You can check out Kingdom Builder if you're listening or watching. It's an honor to be here, to be a part of this. Keep checking my family out, and check me out wherever you listen to music.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Kingdom Builder. I'm your host, Mike Laxton, and today I'm excited to introduce you to a rising voice in the Christian pop country space, Estella Kirk. She's recently released 3 tracks, All I Know to My Knees, which features the Voice Top 5 finalist Hunter Blake, the track 18, and then the title track of her upcoming EP, Growing Pains. All 3 are a preview of what's to come on her EP, which arrives September 12th. Estella, welcome to Kingdom Builder. It's so great to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to share a little bit about this EP and just my heart behind it.
Oh, absolutely. We're glad to have you on to share that the story with that. But before we get into that, for our audience who might not know you, we'd love to kind of know who you are as a person. So for those just discovering you, how would you describe who you are, not just as an artist, but as a Christ follower who creates?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town, McAlester, Oklahoma, and decided to move out here when I was 18 years old, which was a crazy jump. I knew no one out here and had debated on going to college, but ultimately just felt like every door had pointed toward Nashville and moving to the Christian space. Nobody in my family really did music except for my grandpa. And so we used to play songs together and guitar together all the time. And so he really introduced me into guitar and music. And I would just play local shows when I was younger and then moved to Nashville. And it felt like a completely different world. But I really fell in love with writing. And I fell in love with telling stories through music. And I would journal all the time. And it was like sharing that journal with the world. And I found that I could connect people with the gospel and lead them to Christ through music. And so I feel like I've really found my voice in music and just a way to connect with people.
What people will hear is a blend of sound that kind of crosses genres a little bit. So let's talk about sound. You kind of blend a cinematic pop with country. So sonically, what were you direction were you kind of reaching for when creating the EP, and kind of who or what shaped that direction?
Yeah, so I think definitely the country part that a lot of people say I'm country, and I don't even claim to be country necessarily, but I think that it's really cool. I think that comes from growing up in Oklahoma and just the small town feeling. I think a little bit of the pop sound comes from listening to way too much Taylor Swift when I was little. I would listen to Taylor Swift on the way to school, 30-minute drive there and back every day. And so it was engraved in my head, her songwriting, which I'm really thankful for. But I think the Christian part just comes from growing up in the church. And I think it's really cool to look at each part of my life and know that I've kind of took each part and created music out of it and took little things from each genre. It's really cool.
Now, of course, you did mention a moment ago that you've kind of started journaling, which your music has kind of come out of that. So how do you kind of balance the musical polish that you have in recorded sound to that lyrical vulnerability of basically singing what you're journaling? Was it ever kind of difficult to let people in that closely, especially with such like introspective themes?
Yeah, definitely. But I think it's important to let people into that space. And I think it's what really helps people. I would start with like a journal entry and kind of create some lyrics out of it and then take it into a writing room with like 2 or 3 other people. And then we would just start from there and start creating a song. And it was really cool that something that came out of my journal was a song and was out into the world. So I think it's really cool.
But it definitely adds that personal touch to it because I will, I've said on for those who are watching who've seen my interviews, they'll know that I say this a lot is that I believe that, songs that are coming from the heart or from a personal space tend to be the really, really good ones because you are, you're being vulnerable and you're showing who you are as a person. And I think that it allows people to relate to what you're doing a lot more. So, let's talk about one of those songs. So a couple songs ago, about a month or so ago, you released the song All I Know to My Knees. So it kind of has that beautiful arc of surrender in it with lyrics about letting go, spiritual rest, and just trusting God in the chaos. Can you kind of walk us through where that song came from and what it means for you now that it's out in the world?
Yeah, so I would say that this song came from a prayer to the Lord of just saying, I don't know what you're doing in my life right now, but I know that you know, and that it's okay that I don't know. I wanted this song to really feel like you were just sitting at the table with the Lord, and we drew inspiration from Psalms 23. And I think this song did exactly that. It feels like you're sitting at a table with like your closest family and friends, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I surrender this to you. And through the EP, Growing Pains, it talks a lot about just growing up and giving it to the Lord, or certain things in your life changing, like small things, like your favorite coffee order changing from when you were 13, or maybe it's like you're changing jobs, or you're moving off to college. Whatever change you're going through in your life, I feel like this EP really tries to connect with that. And I just wanted All I Know to be kind of set that standard of like, but through all of that, I know that he is still good.
And I like the whole, all I know to my knees, which again, you talk about surrender. That's definitely a part of it. And you mentioned, moving, you're basically taking a dive, moving to Tennessee and really just, you are surrendering. You're saying, hey God, this is what I'm doing. I know music, but this is me. This is how I'm going to present myself to you this way. Let's do with me as you wish. So definitely very reflective in that aspect. So another single that you released that's going to be on the EP as well is the song 18. So that one kind of echoes themes of transition and identity. So what kind of inspired that track? Now, what do you hope someone at 18 or even far past it takes away from it?
Oh goodness, I love this song so much, just because it's so fun and it is such a pop song. I remember coming into the right with a melody and I think like the first 3 lines of the chorus or something like that. And I just loved it. I loved it from the beginning. I told the producer the other day, actually, I was like, we didn't even write this song. It just came. It was just already, it felt like it was already written. And I think that that's really special. I want people who listen to it to relate. I really feel like this is for the people who look back and they realize how much they've changed at 18, or maybe it's not even 18, maybe it's like 25. And you're like, wow, I'm a completely different person than I was at the beginning of 25. And now I'm about to turn 26 and I'm just a completely different person. And I think it really replicates that. And just, it's such a fun song. It's so cool. I love it. If I can.
And I would agree with you on that. I think it definitely is a fun song. And just to see that, you said you moved to the Nashville area when you were 18, is what I believe what you said. So, you've had basically 8 years now to experience life, in the city of music, really, to be honest. Great place to be. And I know that, a lot of the artists I've spoken with who've made that leap to the Nashville area, there's just so much opportunity to connect with and network with, the business as well as just other artists and creators, and just really to do that. So, bravo for you for sure for taking that leap of faith. And I'm very excited that you're able to do that. Now, the latest single you released is, of course, also the title track to your EP, Growing Pains. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of ties into what you've released so far and into, of course, that EP?
Yeah, so Growing Pains really just wraps up the whole EP. I feel like it kind of summarizes the whole EP in a way. I remember first moving here, and I would meet people, and it felt like that they were already moving back or they were already feeling really discouraged. A lot of people say that this is a 10-year town, which I have found a little bit to be true. And so I just remember thinking how scary it was to see people already giving up or already feeling discouraged or packing their bags. And so I really just wanted to paint that picture of what it looks like to kind of watch people leave and new people come so fast and the people go so fast. And so I feel like it really just wraps up the whole EP, which is really cool.
And you mentioned the 10-year town, and definitely not the first time I've heard that. You're 8 years in. You're definitely holding fast. You're holding strong. You've got this EP coming out, so I think that you're definitely doing good. That you're persevering. So it's great that you're able to accomplish that part, because, like you said, a lot of people, they think it's going to be 2-3 years, and
Right.
and then they're going to see success. But again, if you go through those hard times, and God really wants you where He's going to put you, you're gonna make it through, and at least have some resemblance of successfulness based on what He wants for you, of course. So
Right.
now, with your EP, or just in your music in general, what's great about just even the Christian music industry is that, and your particular music is that you don't shy away from showing your faith front and center. So with that, what would you say has been the most kind of pivotal spiritual lesson that you've learned while working on this EP?
Ooh. Well, I've wrote with a lot of different people on this EP who are incredibly talented, but I find that sometimes I'm in rooms that the writers aren't Christian, and sometimes it's really hard to navigate, but other times I'm really grateful because we're able to collaborate together, and we're able to create something that I'm able to share my faith a little bit, and we're able to create a song that brings them in on that a little bit. And I find that we leave closer, and I leave gaining new friends. And I think that that's really the exciting thing about music, is it really connects people. And I think the Lord has really blessed me to be able to connect with people through music and to share the gospel through music. Even if it's people in the industry, it's not just people who are listeners.
And that planting that seed for those non-Christian writers that you're with, that could be part of your mission. It's if you change, whether a lot of musicians are like, well, if it has to do with the listener, like changing the life of the listener, you change that one life, but you never know what seeds you're planting that are actually going to convert those who are writing with you. So that's definitely a unique perspective I've not actually heard of recently. So to do that, so I mean, it's awesome that you're doing that, because they're by consulting with them, they're hearing the gospel, and like you said, you're sharing that with them. So with this project, again, you've left home, you've gone through this process of these 8 years in the Nashville area. How has your view of God shifted or deepened when writing these songs?
Well, that goes back to, I think, the people. In the same breath, I've wrote with some people who have just an incredible faith, and being able to learn and being able to grow through them, and to be able to do life with them and to walk alongside them, and they're able to speak life into me and understand the industry as well. I think that's been one of the biggest things that's been helpful for me. I would just say to be able to be surrounded by the people out here. I've learned so much, and I'm encouraged every day by the people in the industry. The Christian music industry is truly incredible. And the country and the pop. There's something special about the Christian industry for real.
Well, and I think that goes back to what we're supposed to be as Christians. We're supposed to be fellowship with each other anyway. So, that's being able to build with each other. It may not be as much about competition as it is on the secular side. So, we're here with the same mission. We're here to reach lives. We're here to either reach lives or enrich lives, depending on which way you're doing, whether it's evangelism or discipleship, however you want to put it, you're doing that in your form of music. So looking at, again, back to your sound, I know you mentioned some Taylor Swift vibes there and things like that. If you had to describe your sound by putting yourself in a musical family, who are a few artists that you would be sitting next to at the table?
Oh my goodness, I love this question. Okay, the first one would be Taylor Swift. And then the second, I would have to say Riley Clemens.
Oh, okay.
The third, Lauren Daigle. And
Okay.
specifically because she is so outside the box. I feel like sometimes I'm a little too outside the box and people are like, no, that won't work. Let's reel it back in. But I just look up to her so much, and I always have. I think she has such a cool style. Let's see who else. Let's pick a country artist to make my fellow Oklahomans happy. Let's see.
Well, I was going to say Carrie Underwood is from Oklahoma, so there you go.
She's from Shakota. She's from 30 minutes from where I'm from, so that's cool. Shakota. Sorry.
No, I was going to say that was the one I was gonna think of. Like when you said Oklahoma country artist, I'm like, yeah, she's the first one that came up to my mind.
Yes, her or Kelsey Ballerini would be up.
Okay, that's good. All right, so we've got a good mix of artists there that you'd have at the table. So now, of the numerous singles you're going to have here on Growing Pains, the EP, the ones ones you put out or ones that we haven't heard yet, what would you say is the one that's maybe surprised you the most as maybe a personal favorite or felt like a breakthrough moment spiritually or creatively?
Definitely Same Jesus, Different Pew. This song talks about changing churches, and I think that is something that I didn't expect to feel so weird. And weird is the only way I know how to describe it. I remember walking into a new church and just looking for an empty seat and just feeling so awkward. And I think a lot of people go through that and no one really talks about it. I grew up going to the same church my whole life, and to move churches and not know anyone was very strange. And so Same Jesus talks about that and kind of walks through what that looks like, but it kind of points back to, but it's the same, he's the same Jesus, he's the same God. It's just a different church. And I just think it's such a cool song, and it's truly a song that is from the heart and from the Lord. So
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that when the EP comes out. I'm excited to see what that's all about and kind of relate to that. And I'm sure a lot of people, some people it's like, hey, they move different places. It's a school they're worried about. Some people it's a job. In some cases, it's the church. So there you go. Now, there is a clear excellence and intentionality when of how you project, how this project does sound as far as what we put out so far. So, from the production standpoint to the message. So with that, how do you define quality in Christian music, and what standards do you kind of hold yourself to in that regard?
definitely telling stories, being able to convey exactly what you're saying correctly, if I will. It's painting that picture for listeners to go through, like, what's the color of the walls? Like, what's your favorite coffee order? What does the coffee shop look like? And just painting those pictures, I think it's really important, because I know when I listen to a song, I want to hear the story behind it, and I want to hear it in a different way than I've heard it before. And so I think being able to tell the same story in different ways is really important.
No, absolutely. So, of course, this EP comes out on the 12th of September. You're going to have, it's going to be out for those to be listening to it. So what would you say would be the overall message that you hope your music strikes for the listener, but specifically the younger audiences and those that are wrestling with identity and faith?
You're going to go through some growing pains. But at the end of the day, the Lord is your consistent source of peace, and he's going to walk with you through all of those growing pains.
All right. It's a nice way to sum it up.
I was trying not to get tongue twisted with going through the growing pains.
Right? No, I definitely understand that. So you've got your favorite song. But for someone who might be listening to just, if they had to pick one song, it may be the same one, what do you hope that song would be, and what they would walk away with understanding about who God is and who they are as who they are as a person?
Yeah, I think I would have to pick All I Know, just because I feel like it just brings you back to that sitting at a table with him and only wanting what he wants. And I think that's the root of everything. That's why I released it first. And I just wanted to set that presence for the EP, that you might not know anything, but he's consistent and he knows the plans that he has for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, whatever those pains are, he's going to do something with it. It's just a matter of continuing, our faith and really just being able to trust and rely on him, that he's going to make a way to whatever he wishes to happen. We just have to, trust in him and go. Sometimes, life is not easy. He never promises life to be easy. We're going to have those growing pains. So I think it's a very relevant message that you're putting out there. So this EP is coming out September. Now you're 8 years in. I'm going to have to ask, what's next for you? What's next for Estella? Are there any plans for touring, videos, more music? What do you have planned?
So there are plans for touring. I'm planning on going back to Oklahoma and doing 8 or 10 shows, and hopefully in September. So it's really exciting.
All right. So we hope to see some of that, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that. But one last question for you. For the person listening right now who feels stuck between who they were and who they're becoming, whether maybe it's a rough spot in their faith walk, whether it's trying to discover that, they hear your music and they're like, oh, what is this? This has got a sound that I can go with. What would you say to remind them that growth, even when it's painful, is still grace-filled?
Ooh, that's good. I think that it's important to be patient with yourself. I have to remind myself all of the time that you're not going to be perfect. I just did a show like a few days ago, and I felt like it wasn't good. And I was beating myself up, and I had realized, I hadn't played a show in a few weeks, and someone looked at me and they were like, you have a little bit of surface rust, and that's okay. And you just need to keep going and be patient with yourself. And I was like, whoa, okay. So it just takes getting back up again. And even though it's hard or difficult or painful, it's important to remind yourself to give yourself grace and to lean on the Lord, because we're weak and he's strong. And I have to constantly remind myself that he's so much better than me, and I just have to lean on him and get in his word and trust him. And there's things that specifically help me to do that, and that's reading his word and journaling and songwriting and performing. And I think consistently doing those things, find the things that bring you closer to him and the people that bring you closer to him, and those growing pains will be a lot easier.
No, I agree. And actually, we mentioned grace, of course. That's a very, huge thread of what faith is about, is also, the grace that God has for us. But something that actually my pastor this Sunday was talking about was, the theme's amazing grace, but it's not just the grace of God, but having grace for ourselves, like you kind of touched on, is that, we're not meant to be perfect. We're sinful human beings that have fallen, since the days of Adam and Eve. So, we're never going to achieve that. So, Jesus says, hey, what are the greatest two commandments? Love God, basically love God, love people. But if we can't love and then he also says, love your neighbor as yourself. But if we don't love ourselves, how are we going to love our neighbors? So I think it's so important for us to really to forgive ourselves, to just be like, hey, you know what? The next day, this day we might have something painful happen, but there's going to be joy in the next morning, and just, continue to live each day. And as long as God's giving you that next day, that he's still got a plan for you. So it's, I think, like I said, very relevant, topic, and really just the EP that's coming out. I'm excited for everyone to hear it. And we just thank you so much, Estella, for just joining us today. Your heart, your honesty, the sound that you're crafting, it's just such a gift to this generation of listeners. And we just want to thank you so much for your time here on Kingdom Builder.
Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it so much, and I'm so glad I got to come on and share a little bit about the EP and about my story.
Friends, if you were encouraged today, be sure to hit like, share this with someone who needs to hear it, and drop us a comment below with your favorite takeaway. You'll also find links in the description to connect with Estella and check out her music. And until next time, this is Mike Laxton reminding you to keep Christ first in your lives, and everything else will fall into place.